That's somebody's got to be. Perfect. Well, it's really, I mean, John, it's kind of all about you at this moment. So
That's my life. It's all about me.
Did you take off the shirt? I thought you had a shirt that said, no, I'm just kidding. So, of course, if you have any questions, we'd love to, talk about that. If not, I thought there was a few interesting topics that maybe we could decide on which one we break down and then, go from there. But I know that, John, you were talking about earlier about how to close a trade, right?
Yeah, so can we look at a trade real quick?
Yeah, let's do it. You want to do my screen?
Help me with this charting stuff.
Okay.
So if you pull up Tastyworks and look at SPY.
Okay, let's do it.
When I'm looking at the chart, I see when you're charting, what range do you look at typically? Anybody?
As far as like support and resistance, like technical analysis?
Yeah. If I'm looking at I just have Tastyworks up. I'm looking at SPY right now. I've got a chart up.
Yeah, like you can see my screen, right?
Yep.
This is optional.
So you're looking at 6 months right now.
Yeah. 6 months. If I'm wanting to look like, if I'm looking to, like, if I've never known the stock, I'm looking at 2 years. If I've never seen this stock before, I would look at 2 years. If I'm looking at, just want to kind of get the gist of it, I might look 2 to 9 months. Hey, Ryan.
Hey, what's up? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
We're talking about charting and technical analysis. John Pankey, Noel Platter, Jesse Ball, myself.
Hey, guys.
Hey.
So, John, what you're talking about technical analysis. You're asking what's the time frame we look at a chart. Is there any more detailed, or you just kind of want to?
So yeah, I'm looking at this, and based on what your earlier teaching was in module 2 or 3, whenever it was when we were looking at that, it looks like your support is down around 257, somewhere in that range.
Yeah, I would say right around 257 and some change, give or take. This is probably the closest support you could get. Maybe you could come up to something like here, or it's getting this red candle body right here, that wick, and then over at the bottom of this red candle body. And there's different perspectives on technical analysis. Technical analysis is probably the most artistic form of trading.
Sure.
It's relative to the individual. But I can share with you what I know and what I've been taught. I would say support is right around here at this point.
Okay, I was pretty darn close.
Yeah, 257 and some change.
So if I heard you correctly, the movement should be up from there, unless something weird happens.
Well, for sure. So what we want, it's not. So support, it's this. Support is, it's either going to bounce or it's going to become new resistance. And resistance, it's either going to come up to it and bounce down, or it's going to become new support. So the saying is, old support is new resistance, old resistance is new support. So does that make sense?
So if it drops below there, you expect that to be the resistance then?
The ceiling. So I'm expecting, I want it to come down to this point, and I'm going to see what happens. Does it drop through this point? If it does, I would expect this to be the new resistance or ceiling. If it doesn't, it just confirms that support even more and makes it stronger.
Okay, because I'm trying to relate what I see here.
Yeah.
To what type of trade would happen with this.
Yeah. So let me ask you, just looking at my screen here that you see, what would you say this chart is doing? Going up, down, or sideways?
Well, right now it's going sideways.
Yeah. I would say the same thing ever since this point right here. It dropped down, and then it went up, and then it just started going sideways. So, yeah, I would say it's going sideways. So if you're looking at a technical standpoint of just looking at this from a technical standpoint, you would say, hey, this is channeling sideways. It's in a consolidation pattern. It's not breaking any higher than these two peaks, and it's not going any lower than these two bottoms. So it's going somewhere between like 280 and what do we say, 260 to whatever this is, 257. And so we'd say it's channeling. And so you would then ask yourself, what are my sideways moving strategies that I can put on?
So far what you've taught me is an iron condor.
Right. Yeah. So iron condor, and that would look something like this. Let me see if I can do this. I haven't used this platform for 2 months maybe. Where is it? So an iron condor would look something like this. We'd sell something like there, and we would buy something like there from a technical standpoint. We would then take these numbers, 280 and 257, and just go into the option chain and see if they fall at that 15 delta.
And you're going a month out?
The target is 45 days.
45?
Yeah, it's between. I teach between 60 and 30 days, 30 and 60 days. 45 days, historically speaking, from a just back testing, like previous results, 45 is the best that they found for selling options, in the sense that it has enough time premium to get a good chunk of change, but it's still not too expensive, and you can allow that thing to decay from time decay in your favor. So what did we say? We said 280 and 257. So I would look from a technical standpoint, and then I go into the option chain, and I'm looking for the 280 and 257, and I want to see what delta they are. With an iron condor, I'm looking for a 15 delta. 257. And that is, the delta's at 32. So I'd want to go further south than the 257. I'd probably want to come down something like 247. So let's just act. And then we said 280. Yeah, let's see here. And the 280 is closer to the 15 delta.
So is the delta more important than when you were making the ceiling and the baseline?
So there's two forms. You can trade off of both technical analysis, fundamental analysis. Then you can, so that's how you analyze a trade. And then how you put on that trade, you can put it on mechanically or speculative. Speculative would fall more under the technical analysis, whereas mechanical would fall more under just the straight numbers. If you have to ask me, do I think which is more valuable, a technical analysis of support and resistance or the deltas? I would say the deltas, the mechanical approach to it, has more value than the technical support and resistance. However, you can use both, and I use both. So I'm just kind of putting together these puzzle pieces, and I'm trying to paint a clear picture to give me a synopsis of what's happening in the security. But
okay.
Final answer, delta. I would use delta.
So the delta you're looking for is, what did you say?
It's
how
15.
much? 15.
15, because if I have 15 on either side, on my short legs, that's 15 plus 15. That equals 30 together delta. That means, and since we can use delta as a rough indicator of our probability, that means I have a rough probability of 70%.
Okay.
I'm really looking for a 70% probability. And then once I can get a 70% probability, I then switch over and I'm starting to look for, can I take enough credit to make that 70% probability worth it?
So where are you looking at 15% or 15?
15 delta. So it's going to be this column here, and we're going to find the 15 delta under this column on the call side, which is way up here. There we go. So it's right around the 277. $277. But let's see if we can't switch over here to Tasteworks platform. SPY. We're looking at June. And so let's say we didn't look at the chart and we just came into SPY, said, hey, we know it's channeling. I want to put on a directionally neutral trade. I'm going to look for, on both the put side and the call side, I'm going to look for that 15 delta. which is right here at the 246, the 15 delta on the put side. And then I'm going to go out to the call side and I'm looking for the same 15 delta. And that's going to give me a pretty flat delta. Anything under 1 point it's pretty neutral. Obviously, the closer you can get this thing down to straight zero, that's just neutral. I mean, that's just as neutral as it gets. And then I generally like to trade 5 strike wides and take in a 20% credit of the difference between the strikes. So 5 would be down here to 9. And then let's come up here. 46 would be 41. You like that quick math, John?
Yep. That's better than last week.
Yeah, or whatever that was. Jesse, hush your mouth. So 5 strike wide, I want a 20% difference of the $5. So that would be $1, and this is right at 96 cents. So it's close, but it's no cigar for me. And so you notice since when I put on my long legs, I created the long positions, the green boxes, to hedge myself. So my delta became a little bit skewed.
Yeah.
It became a little bit, it was pretty neutral. It was like 0.9. Now it's -4, right? So I'm just going to start. So I just go and I'm going to adjust, and maybe I can do like pull in one of these legs here. And that's darn near close. But then look, my delta's flat, but my credits and I'm not. So at this point I might say, I've tried a few different options here. I started with a $5 wide iron condor and it wasn't pulling enough credit. Then I tried to shrink on either side to allow myself, flat delta and enough credit. But as I pull this on the put side, as I pull that out, all I'm doing is increasing my max loss. So on the SPY right now, I don't know if I'd put on an iron condor. And especially it doesn't qualify on the checklist. It's not over the 50 IV rank. And that's part of it too, is like if this had IV in it, we would find a trade to be able to put on this. A 5 strike wide iron condor should work. We'd be able to pull enough credit, but the IV on this thing is just too low. So that's why you got to have all these. Ryan mentioned, you're like, hey, what's more important? You're going through that checklist that I provide with you guys, and you're putting all those pieces together. So iron condor, you look for 15 delta. You're looking for IV over 50% rank. You're looking for, open interest, and you want to pull in enough credit. And then as you get more and more, advanced or into it, you're going to start really looking into delta and making sure you're managing your delta, and going from there. Let me show you. Do you have any more questions about that and about the SPY?
No.
Okay, John, I'll show you how to break down a trade. So in these are all the trades I have on currently. In Tastyworks, the platform I suggest, you just click them, the trade that you opened. So let's say I just opened up this trade here. This is a straddle here. I would just click it to make it that light gray, and then I right click, and I can either do close for profit, and I could adjust this down to, let's say, 25 or all the way up to 50. Or if I wanted to be really aggressive, I would say, 75. I teach just aim for 50% of the credit. And then you can do balanced or default. I just always do full. Like I have 4 contracts here. So I would just want to make sure I close out all those 4 contracts. And I just click that. And then once I do this, it says how much profit did you want to capture of the credit you received. And I said 50. It said, okay, you took in 80 cents. It automatically populates 40 cents. And it automatically populates the order type to be net debit, which I took in a credit to open. So I'm going to do a debit to close. And then the time in force is automatically good till canceled. And then I'll just hit review and send that order. And then it comes over here and says working. And then something I can do is I can come to my activities tab. I can just go to this, make sure this working tab is highlighted. And then I could do something like this, and I could just see, all the trades that I have on that are working, that are good till canceled. They're my profit capturing trades. that I'm looking at just letting them set on there till it comes down to my profit point. And if it gets too close to expiration, I might look to either roll it out or just close it for a loss. And last thing about positions that have working orders, they have in Tastyworks, they have this little like yellow triangle here.
Okay.
If you have a working order on them, Microsoft does not have a working order right now. So this is a long position that I'm in, and I could come in here and set, a good till cancel order, or it might be a market stop order on this, but I don't, because I'm personally managing this one. I'm looking at it. I'm looking at different technical analysis, and every day I'm saying I'm actively managing Microsoft. But all these other ones that have these little yellow dots next to them, I'm just saying, hey, you do your thing. I'll be over here. Whenever you're done, let me know. And that's when I wake up at 6:35 in the morning and, hey, you just made $200. I'm like, yes, I love those days. That happened today. And it's those good to cancel orders triggering off.
Okay. A lot of what you just said was Greek, so.
Okay. Well, it's recorded. So what kind of questions do you have up to what you've learned? What's some things that you want to break down, either Ryan or John, that you'd like to know a little bit more about? Or
I've monopolized 20 minutes. We'll let Ryan get some in edgewise.
Well, I feel like I'm very behind.
Okay.
So,
what module have you completed?
Well, I've completed module 4.
Okay.
And I feel like I need to go back and rewatch certain things. I have been looking at the top 30.
Yeah.
And I have been reading the book.
Cool.
The book is very informative, just that it's given me the ability to understand that it's more about my desire or my understanding that there's potential to lose in to not take it for granted, basically, that you have to know what you're getting into every single time and put the right I guess things in place to make sure that you're not going off of like emotion and things
right.
like that. So that's been very helpful. I wouldn't have thought that was the case until after reading most of this book. So it's kind of different than what I expected.
Sure.
From the beginning, but I feel like there's so much information, and I haven't really given it the time that it deserves to fully understand it.
Yeah.
And so I guess my question, I have access to all this stuff forever, correct? Or it doesn't go away?
Nope, it goes away after 3 days from now.
Okay, perfect. Well,
I'm just kidding. Yeah, man. As long as you're a legacy trader, you've got access to it. Something
I really want to do this. To what level I don't know yet, but I really want to actively use this as something that would be something that could potentially gain for our family. So
let me pass it off to Jesse on that note. Jesse, what would you say is been your take on first your learning curve? Because Jesse's also working a full-time job, so he's not a full-time trader. Not yet. That's the goal. Hey, we're getting you there. But Jesse, what would you say is like, how much time did it take you to kind of learn this, and how has that trading played into kind of a side gig to working a full-time job?
So for me, when I started learning this on my own, I've never taken the training courses or anything like that. I really watched a lot of YouTube videos from a lot of people trying to sell you a lot of information that doesn't work. And so you have to a lot of it was finding the right place to actually absorb the information that wasn't trying to like bottleneck you into this other system that they're trying to sell you on a monthly thing or whatever. So it took me just about 3 months to find a place that really ended up teaching me what I know, which for me, it's Tasty Trade. I watch them every day. I'm kind of addicted, but a lot of it is it took me, because I work full time. So it took me about a year, I would say an honest year, just reading a lot of the material, trying to understand what they're talking about, going through all of the option Greeks and really knowing the option Greeks, and then also understanding option like information. So not only the Greeks, but also like intrinsic, extrinsic value, and how not to get hurt on trades. While at the same time I'm learning this, I'm also actively paper trading, because I didn't have all the funds at the time to actively trade in a real account. So I opened up a Thinkorswim paper trading account, and I traded the same strategies that I was reading about, but with fake money, to kind of understand what I was doing. But what that taught me during that time was my risk tolerance. So I traded as if I had a $5,000 account, and I learned my risk tolerance through that paper trading, just to kind of figure out how I would handle a loss, because not all trades are winners. I posted today in Legacy Traders, I made one scratch trade today, I made one winning trade today, and I lost on a trade. And sometimes you got to eat the losses, and when you do, you manage it and you use your capital elsewhere. But that comes with time. It's not something that is easy to swallow at first. And but it took me a good year to kind of understand what I was doing, I would say, while working a full-time job. And don't get discouraged with yourself, for sure. Like, just as long as you keep absorbing this material, it'll start to sink in. It took a while to sink in, and it's not easy, because it's learning a new language. You're learning an entirely new language.
Right.
And even if you were to learn Spanish, or if you never took Spanish and you're learning it for the first time, it's going to take a long time to kind of get used to just the verbiage and what things mean and what you're looking for. Now when I look at an option chain, I know exactly what I'm looking for. I don't have to spend a lot of time trying to understand a lot of things, because I know where I'm going. And it just takes time, just like driving a car, riding a bike. It's not easy at first. You will fall. You will fall. You will skin your knees, but you just get back up and you start going again. And it's an amazing journey.
That's good stuff. How long did you paper trade?
I paper traded for about 20 minutes. I paper traded for, sorry, my wife is asking me questions.
Hi, Amanda.
Yeah.
Hi.
She said hi. She said hi. Anyways, I paper traded about a year and a half, a full year and a half with, and I managed my account. So in Thinkorswim, you can adjust your account asset volume. So like I just adjusted it down to like $5,000, because I knew at the time I was going to be trading about a $5,000 account. So I adjusted everything down to about $5,000. I started trading as if I had $5,000.
Right.
And just started from there, because you don't need a lot of capital up front to trade options. You only need $2,000, which is the minimum. So I thought, that's a good way to learn and a good way to practice. And that's what I did for a year and a half. And I actually did better in my paper trading account. And when I went live, it's a different story, because you get eaten up on the bid and ask spread sometimes, and mid pricing isn't always in your favor, where in paper trading it really is in your favor. They're going to fill you no matter what. You're going to get a fill, and you don't really have to worry about pricing. But in real life, sometimes when it took me more than 5 minutes to get a fill, I was like, what the heck? Why are you not filling? I was so frustrated, because I was used to paper trading, and paper trading is like, oh yeah, here, ding, you send your order and it's right there. It's like, yay, perfect. But it was an adjustment at first, but it's been about a year and a half.
Okay, I appreciate that. One more question. Like, when I'm reading this book, it talks about like people that are more frustrated with leaving money on the table than actually losing. Would that be the case with you as well too, or are you more? Does it hurt more when it's a loss than leaving money on the table?
I definitely think it's the latter. Just me personally and my risk tolerance. I know I've closed trades somewhat early, or what I consider as over managing a trade. And if I would have closed it later, obviously I would have gotten a better deal, But
I did that today
I think
on EXC. I was like, oh.
Yeah. So like with when it's a loss, it hurts a lot more. But the thing that's interesting about trading is the losses always hurt more than the winnings feel good.
Okay.
And so I think your first win is kind of like the bug that gets you going and it gets you juiced up to keep trading. Is like, oh, I love this. I won, got money in my account. But the sometimes losses are hard to handle. Like I was texting Tim like a couple weeks ago. I had, a max loss on a trade and it wasn't pretty. It felt hard. It's like sometimes you keep thinking about it. What could I have done differently? What could I have done differently? It's just, and then, Tim always says, it's like you get the losers out of the way and then you're going to get your winner, so.
Right.
You got to remember to keep going. It's hard. The first real max loss you ever get is rough. It's not easy to take the first time, and they're still not easy, but
no one likes losing money.
No, nobody likes to lose. I want to win.
Like whenever you understand the power of large numbers and in the way that I trade, that I teach you guys to trade in high probability trading, it's like, okay, cool. Loser, you came, you went, that sucked. I want you back. I wish I could change that. But if you understand that, hey, it's not about like, okay, that loser hurt really bad or I won really great here. It's just about cranking through trades. And if you trade in this approach of, hey, I follow my checklist, I have a plan, I've got perspective, and I've got patience to make all those things happen, then it just begins about cranking through them. And something that I remember whenever in my first week of live trading, you probably don't want to hear this, but I lost $7,112 my first week of live trading because I made a mistake. 2 reasons. I didn't have direct connection to a mentor and I wasn't in community. And right. I made a huge mistake. And I remember crying to my wife saying, hey, babe, I lost this much money. And she thought it was a joke. And I'm like, no, it's real. But at that point, it was, I need to find out how to do this thing like for real, or I need to give this thing up. And that's whenever I was like, I've got to go all in on this high probability trading, this directionally neutral, take that guesswork out of it and just get to the mechanicals of this and get the power of large numbers working for me. And that was my first week live trading. And so yeah, once you have some losses, you have some fails, but it's just part of the mechanics. It's just part of the process. And once you understand the power of large numbers, probabilities in your favor, you start trading off a checklist, off a plan. Then you're like, hey, let's just go. Let's go, and the numbers work.
Cool. Except for the first week, that wasn't that cool.
It wasn't that cool for like the first 3 months, brother. It wasn't that cool. But I've made 10, 12 times that original loss just trading. And so it's like I could have quit there at my worst case scenario. In freaking January, I made $86,000 or something like that in 1 month. And so you talk about like, okay, you had a loss. Cool. It hurt. But stick with the plan. My thing, I just shared a little live Facebook thing on Optional Legacies page about the power of community. Like if I had to give a greater bias to specialized knowledge or to community, it would hands down be to community. Because if you can be surrounded in a healthy community that's getting results, then then naturally you being in that community, in that environment, you'll get the specialized knowledge that you need to be successful. And so that's why I created Legacy Traders, and just creating a community of traders that say, hey, this is what we're doing, and this is what we're going after. And so you will get it. It will make sense, but you're learning a new concept in a new language. So someone's got to wash and dry. Is that you, Ryan?
Is it just me or is it him?
It's him.
I think it's Ryan.
You need to spend some of that $86,000 on a better internet connection.
Oh, I just sent him a link too, so we can get
Yeah, we see that.
Did I pause for like 3 minutes?
It was significant.
You were frozen for sure.
Yeah, you wanted to build a snowman real bad.
Stop. Well,
Noel's going to jump in a second.
let's go.
Okay, John and Ryan, if I had to do this, Tim is working full time at this, and he has like 10, 12, 20 trades going. If I had to do this, I would paper trade first, and I would start with maybe one trade a week so you could really digest this. Because what Tim's doing is pretty advanced, and there's a lot going on, and he has a lot of knowledge behind it. But I found it the pace of one good trade a week and learning from it and then growing with it.
And I don't know if I could agree more with that. The aspect of whenever you have just one trade, and let's say a trade triggers off in 3 days, then just open another trade. And at that point, you're able to really dissect what's going on here, why and here. And I can't emphasize enough, I talk about plan, perspective. I consider perspective is experience partnered with future vision. And if you don't have experience, take someone else's experience, but you need to have your own future vision. You need to have that perspective of where you're going. And the way that I started, whenever I began learning about options and trading and high probability, directional neutral, all that stuff, I said, hey, if this takes me 2 to 4 years to make 50% return on investment, that's cool. To make 100%, 100 plus, that's cool. And so if you can keep that, for me, that's been my saving grace, especially when I had that $7,112 loss. It was like, hey, I'm in this thing for the long run, and keeping that perspective. And it didn't take me 2 years.
You're in it for the what?
The long run. Long run. Hey, no laughing, okay? I'm giving you all I've got. So this is it.
I'm sorry. Oh my gosh. It's hilarious.
Good. What did I say? Did I say
pretty much what you sound like right now?
Yeah. Just keep the long-term perspective.
That's what Tim sounds like naturally, though.
Yeah, I mean, that's close. But what else can we break down on a clarity standpoint? I mean, I can give you motivational speak all day. You know what I mean?
Yeah, my challenge is I'm impatient. So,
well, you might not be that paper trader, and you might have a $7,112 loss.
I hope not, because I think I'll follow your 8% rule.
Yeah, that's right.
And cover myself.
All right.
Especially with retirement savings, I don't want Rochelle to
have a heart attack.
Out, so.
And the way that $7,112 loss happened is I set a stop market order on my short leg. I didn't do it on the whole trade. I teach you guys to do it on the whole trade. I won't break down all the details on that, but just know that if you are getting into a bull put spread, bear call spread, or an iron condor, or later on an iron butterfly or something else, if you put on your good till cancel order on your whole trade, you're not going to run into that crazy significant loss that I had.
So if everybody doesn't mind, can you just give a quick recap of the three trades you talked about in the module? I mean, the basics are there.
Mhm.
You got your bull where you're expecting it to go up.
Bear call spread, and then a iron condor. So a bull put spread is on.
So on all of these trades,
Uh-huh.
when you're coming into the trade and you're frozen again, you're selling to open, right? On all of them.
Yes.
And then your cover is
The buy to open.
You're buying
that long position.
either above or below, depending on which the opposite direction you expect the stock to go.
Right.
I mean, that's the basics of this, and then everything else is probability and statistics.
That's just when you do that. I'm sorry, I haven't even done this yet. I've just been trying to watch it. But like, if you're selling to open, but you put the buy to open just above it, that's just like security, right?
Yes. So we want to sell to open. We're looking for implied volatility is our number one edge, as I mentioned over and over and over.
Right.
We're looking to sell implied volatility. Implied volatility is that fear or that supply and demand skew. And so we'll sell to open a position that's closer to the money. It's not in the money, but it's closer to the money. And then we hedge ourselves with a long buy to open position. And all that happens is that if the stock comes down and crashes through our short or sold to open position, our long position now, gives us that security, gives us the ability, gives us the right to exit out of that trade for a defined loss.
Okay.
So when you close out of that trade, somebody else if you close out of it before it expires, somebody else on the opposite side of this thing is buying those.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, those positions. And I remember thinking as a new trader, like, why would someone buy a put on a trade that's going up or something like that? But think about it. You can do bull put spreads, bear call spreads. You can go long in calls. You can go long in puts. There's a ton of different strategies that take up these either long and short calls or long and short puts. And if you're in a security, like let's say SPY, just super high volume, there's someone else putting on some type of trade. It may not be a directional trade. They're just putting on some type of trade that incorporates one of those pieces that you're trying to get rid of or trying to get.
Sure, but technically speaking, on the backside, when you go to close out of your position, you've got to sell two options.
Yeah,
and whoever's making that trade for you, Tastyworks or whoever the
broker
is playing the market over there, do they sell those at the same time, or is there some?
You can think of like two pools. Let's just, to keep it simple, let's say there's one strike contract on the call side. We'll say the 150 strike on the call side. And there's two pools that the broker platform has. There's, for the 150 strike on the call side, there's a pool of people that want to buy those that the broker knows about. And they say all the orders are going in of people that want to buy the 150 call and the 150 strike on the call side. And then there's another pool of people that want to sell those. And the broker just links them up. And so then as you get more legs, like on a two leg where you sell and you buy like a bull put spread or a bear call spread, there's just, you can think of a pool. A broker is just bringing in the sellers and the buyers on that same strike, and they're just bringing them together for every leg or every position that you have on. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah, so there is, for every position that you enter, if you're buying to open, there is someone selling to close on the opposite side. If you're selling to open, there is someone on the opposite side, that other pool, that is buying to close. There's two pools, buy and sell, and the broker brings them together.
I'm sorry, all that goes through my head is watching Trading Places and watching the guys in the pits.
Yeah,
Awesome movie.
You're too
Love
young
that
for that,
movie.
aren't you?
That's a good one.
Do you want me
Yeah,
to break?
something I like to think of is that you throw around the words like sell to open and buy to open. I would use the word closing the position because you get some confusion there, buying to open, selling to open. I think closing the position is good language to use.
For entering into the trade?
Now, well, for exiting the trade.
Okay.
Because when you close the trade on a spread, you might be selling one part and buying the other part to close the trade. You're doing a buy and a sell to close the trade. So I would just use the word close.
Yeah, because if I'm not mistaken, in some of the lessons you talk about sell to close and buy to close.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you think the word close.
So there's you can also think of it like this in two different pairs. There's buy and sell on this side over here, buy, sell, and there's open and close. And those are coming together in one form or another. So however you open the trade, like if you bought to open, then you're selling to close. So it's open, close, buy and sell. And those are coming together on both the entry and the exit. And whatever you do to enter, you just do the reverse to exit. So it's open, close, buy and sell, and you do the reverse of those on the exit.
Okay. I got that.
So just two pieces. You can open and close a trade, and you can only buy or sell a trade. And then to undo it, you just do the reverse of that.
Yes.
But I remember when I was first learning about buying and selling, I remember I went on a walk, and I just talked to myself out loud for like 25 minutes, I feel like. And I was like, okay, this is how this works. All right, so when I buy to open, it does this. So when I sell to close, it does this. And if I'm buying a put, it makes money if it goes down. If I'm selling a put, it makes money if it goes up. And you just have to go through your own process. I don't know if any of you other traders have had that own little, come to Jesus moment when trading, but it was like, how does this make sense? I have no idea. And for me, I just had to repeat it over and over and over and over. And I remember I typed in my phone in my notes, hey, a long put makes money going down. A short put makes money going up, and then the reverse for the call. And I just reviewed that, and I just kind of had to get my mental clarity about it. But it did take some time.
All right. So when I'm looking in Tastyworks,
Yeah.
when you go to set your buys and sells in the trade window there,
Yep. Trade tab. Yep.
there's a strategy associated with it.
Are you on the desktop or the?
I am on the desktop.
Let's see. You can see my screen, yeah?
Yep.
Cool. Trade tab.
See, mine doesn't look like yours.
It doesn't
a bunch
look
of
like this.
garbage up at the top, I guess.
Does it look like this?
There we go. Yeah, I just had to get rid of my account information.
Okay. So in this, on the table
Yep.
view of the trade mode, so I'm on the trade tab, trade mode, table view. For me, the easiest to understand is the table view. You can learn these other ones. There's only curve or active is if you're really active. There's only table or curve. And then do you remember as retail traders, we sell at the lower price and buy at the higher price?
You're talking about the bid and ask.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. So if I want to sell something, I'm just going to find which one's the lower price. Oh, it's this one. Click it, makes a red one. If I'm going to buy something, which one's the higher price? Oh, it's this one. That's the higher price. And that creates my spread.
So right. So on this screen right here,
Yeah.
you've got up at the center top, strategy, short, iron condor.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If you're doing bulls and bears, what are those under?
So you could do a short call vertical, which that would be a bear call spread here, or you could do a short put vertical. That would be a bull put spread.
Okay.
But this is, it's a lot of lingo that is maybe not relevant. So I
But
could.
when you have that up there, it
Yeah.
controls how your screen reacts
Yeah.
to what
So
you're collecting.
this little button right here is just made for a shortcut. If you wanted to go in and do a short iron condor, all it's going to do is it's just going to populate the legs for you. So instead of doing four clicks, I just did 2 clicks, maybe 3 clicks. So it's just really a shortcut button. I don't know if I'd get wrapped up in this in starting. I would say just look for the pieces that you need, like you're looking for 15 on iron condor. You're looking for about 30 to 60 days worth of time. The monthly options are the best ones, and then you're looking for about the 15 delta. Generally, you want a $5 wide strike on either side, and then you're just kind of going through that process. And then as you're going through these and you're saying, hey, I'm looking for these trades to enter onto myself, can I, share it in the community and say, hey, what do you think about this? And, if you're like, hey, I think everything looks good. It's close to 70% probability of profit here. It's darn near close to 20% of the difference between the strikes. Delta is maybe a little skewed. What do you guys think about these things? And, you can leverage community on that sense. And someone might say, pull in your put side a little bit further to bring in a greater credit, so people can give you different perspectives.
Yeah, I've got to do some more study, I guess.
What do you feel like is the biggest gap currently?
The space between my ears.
Stop.
Yeah, the first thing I liked to learn was the bull put spread. It made the most sense to me, and it was the building block for other trades.
Because that's what I'm looking at right now. Bull put spread. I'm looking to sell at whatever price and cover myself on the bottom.
Yes.
Because I expect it to go up.
Yeah, that's correct. So let's say you're looking at the SPY. For instance, let's say I'm the trader here, and I think SPY, or the overall market, the S&P 500, is going to go up. It looks like it's come darn near close to that support. And I with that long wick, I think this thing is going to skyrocket through to the moon and back. So what I could do is I could come down and look at that support right there, right around, what is that, 260, 256. And then I'd come over here to the put side, and I'd look for that 256 put. And look, it's right there darn near close to that 30 delta, which on a bull put spread, that's the delta that you want for your short strike. And then going 5 out. And look, again, it's darn near close to 20% of my difference in my strikes. It's darn near close to 70% probability. and it's super great for probability of capturing 50%. So this would be a trade I'd be like, hey, this could be something I can make work. And the goal of this trade is that it stays above 256 to capture the most profit possible. But at worst case scenario, your break even is your short strike minus the credit of 97 cents that you received. So 255.03. You're welcome, John, for that quick math.
So if the trade expires, I would make 97 cents.
Max profit.
And if the worst thing in the world happened, I'd lose $5
Right,
minus 97 cents.
Yeah, so 403 over here.
So just to make easy rounding, the most I could make is $1. The most I could lose is $4.
And you have a probability of 70%.
And the way I would handle this is I wouldn't even let it go down to 251. I would probably stop out. I'd stop out above 256. There are different ways to play this. But I would stop out at maybe 256.25.
Yeah.
And just take my loss.
And it would be, and that's something that you, as John, as you get started, you'll have to find what your risk tolerance is. Some people are like, hey, I don't want to lose any money. And other people are like, hey, I don't mind. It's part of the process. I feel like I'm more part of the process. I feel like Jesse is more of the don't lose any money. But something you'll find out is, who am I in this process?
My personal rule is 2 times max credit. And because I have a small account, like if I pull in a $40 credit and if I have to pay $80 to get out of this trade because it went against me, that's when I pull it off. I really need my capital to go to other trades.
Right.
Because my account's so tiny. So I can't really risk the max loss. Like my account, if I lost $400 on a stinking put vertical, I would be, I wouldn't be able to trade as much as I am now, and I would be suffering, So I just manage it early, and if it goes against me and I pay double my credit, then that's my marker and that's my limit now. No questions asked. I don't wait. I used to wait. I used to think, oh, it'll come back and maybe blah, blah, blah. But then you're like not sleeping at night. You're worried. Then I'm like, no, I'm just going to, take my money off and just apply it elsewhere and just live to trade another day.
And that's part of his trade plan. So before, right, Jesse, correct me if I'm wrong, before you even get into that trade, you say, hey, if this happens, then I'll do this.
Correct. Yeah, that's my trade plan. That's been my trade plan for a while now, and it's been good. So, I mean, it reduces the portfolio volatility. And it also helps me sleep better. So I take that.
Yeah. I say follow the 3 Ps and you'll get the 4th P. So have a plan, perspective, and patience, and you'll have peace. There's a cat behind you, Jesse.
Yeah. So that's Lola. She's like my 12-year-old cat. She's super tiny. We found her in a bush like a week after we got married. My wife brought it home and was like, look what I found. I was like, oh no. Yay. So she loves me. She likes to be around me wherever I'm at. She wants to be kind of there. So
I have a dog like that.
yeah.
I didn't even want the dog.
Stop it. I don't even think Jesse wants the cat. That's what
well, it's kind of that way too, but she loves me only. So anybody else, she's going to be like, but for me, she loves me. I don't know.
So, John, in closing, what can we do for you? Break down the bull put spread again.
Yeah, do that for me again. You
Sure.
why did you choose 256?
Yeah. So I chose 256 off the mechanical piece of the 30 delta. That's my dominating factor right here. So delta up here, 30, this was the closest. I could have chosen 255 if I want to be a little bit more conservative, just go one strike further out the money.
So as your delta goes higher, what does that mean?
As your delta goes higher, your probability goes lower.
Okay.
And you can also think about this. As your credit that you receive for a credit spread goes higher, your probability will also go lower. And it's the reverse of that. As your probability goes higher, your credit that you receive goes lower. Or as your probability goes higher, the delta that you put your short strike is lower or further out the money.
Okay. So 30 delta.
So I looked here. I said, hey, what's the support? It's right around this like 256, 257 range. Just by using my cursor, and I said, okay, it's somewhere right in here, some rough money. It's not really strong. It's just from a technical standpoint, somewhere right in there. So 256, 257. Then I came into my option chain, and I was looking for 30 to 60 days worth of time on the monthly options. So there's May monthly, that bold one, 15 days, or there's the June, and it's 43. I'm like, hey, let's go with that one. Then I came over here to my put side, and I looked. I remember 256, 257 was right around where my support was. And then I looked at the deltas. I go, oh, perfect. And you'll see that happen a lot. As you look at technical analysis and you go, oh, this is the support here, and I'm going to put on a bull put spread that makes money as it goes up, and you're just looking at a chart. You're not even looking at option change. You say, this is the price that I see support at, and I'm expecting this thing to go up. Then you roll over into the option chain, and you'll find that support that you're like, hey, this is where it's going to be. That's darn near close to that 30 delta. It happens to me all the time, and it happened here. And you're like, okay, so you could choose either the 31 delta or the 29. And then I often, just by default, I just put 5 strikes out. And I'm trying to see if I put 5 strikes out, can I capture 20% or $1 of the $5 in the credit? And if I can't, I might come here. So this is a $1 wide strike. Can I receive 20 cents? I can. And so if the 5 strike doesn't work, then I might bring it in, and I don't know all the numbers on how much I should receive for every one little portion of this, but I just do a little math, and I do 20% between the difference of the strikes, and I see what works. I definitely need to pull in enough credit for a 70% probability. I need to pull in at least 20% of the strikes to make the numbers work. And so I'm just trying to find out what works. So short strike is at that 30 delta, also at a recognized support. And then I just by default, I go 5 strikes out. And then if 5 strikes doesn't work, I want $1 here. I might, just get my calculator out and find out if any of these does it better.
If I was learning, I might just try 1 strike just to learn what's going on.
Like that? Yeah. And this would work. So let's say 1 strike difference here. It's $1, 20 cents. You're able to pull in 23 cents. So does it qualify your rule of 20% difference between the strikes? It does. Is it a probability of profit 70%? It's darn near close to it. And then your probability of 50%, capturing 50% of your credit is well over 70%. And so,
and I like that you're really reducing your risk too if you're a new person.
Yeah, look at this, max loss. So yeah, I'll give a little example of that. So 256 with a $1 wide strike, you're able to pull in 20%, but your max loss is only $77. So if you're dead wrong in this, you're losing $77 at end of the day. No more than that. You can lose at expiration.
So you put this trade on. Say you had a 1 difference there. It's 43 days out.
Mm-hmm.
And the stock goes up like you expect it to.
Right.
So you're going to make your max profit, right?
Yeah, of 29, or of, in this case, the $5 is 97.
Do you wait for it to expire in this case?
No. Reason why, let me see if I can show you this. Let's see. Bring something over for you. Let me see. I've got it here. Hold on. Give me 1 second. I'll drag it over so you can see. Boom. This is a perfect example of why we don't wait till 100% max profit. Because if I put on one trade and it only takes me 7 days to capture 50% of the profit, I can then take that capital that was at risk in that trade, I can close it out, I take that risk off, and I put it into trade number 2, takes me 7 to 8 days, and I gather another 50% return on investment. So within 16 days, I'm able to get 100% return on investment versus waiting the whole 43 days. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah, and so I'm able to kind of, it's this rinse and repeat. I'm able to use the same $100 bill to get into a trade and get out at 50%, and I'm able to rinse, repeat, get into another trade, get out at 50%, rinse, repeat, and I'm able to use that $100 bill a lot more effectively to leverage and generate our work for me to make profits. And so the average day in the trade was 7 to 8 days. There's 21 trading days in a month. 3 trades a month using the same capital or same amount of risk equals 150% gains versus you waiting the full, in this example, it's just 1 month, a full 1 month for that to hit a max 100% profit.
Gotcha.
So in being aggressive and taking your profits, you can do 2 things. You can increase your probability, and you can also leverage your capital more by being aggressive in taking your profits. And so I teach to set your good till cancel order on a bear call spread and a bull put spread at a 50, and an iron condor at a 50% of your gains for this whole purpose here, that you can leverage your capital, work it harder while using the same amount of risk.
And a third good thing you're doing, Tim, is you're locking in your gains, because if you let the trade run a full 45 days, it might turn around and go against you.
At the last day. Leave it to the devil. That's happened. It's like, it only takes once before you're like, I don't want to do that again.
Well, that's what your good till cancel's for, right?
Your good till cancel is only to capture your profits.
Right. So you capture that no matter where it is in the life of the option.
Yeah, but it has to get to that point before it automatically triggers off to capture your profits. You
Right.
have nothing other than your max loss to secure your losses.
Interesting.
So that's where you use your cell phone. I use my cell phone 80% of the time I trade. I'll put on a trade on my desktop, and I just use my cell phone to monitor it. And all I'm doing on my cell phone is I'm just looking at that thing, and I'm saying, hey, is that still in my, if it's going against me, is it still in my 50? If I'm looking for a 50% loss on that, is it above that? It is, cool. I'll keep it on. If it's not, I need to close that out. And then other than that, but most trades you'll find in credit spreads using high probability, you don't need to manage them. The numbers will work by themselves, especially as getting started. I wouldn't say get complicated or confuse yourself on how to manage trades. Just focus on those numbers, those high probabilities, and receiving enough credit with that IV rank, and those numbers will work for themselves. And as they're working for yourselves, you're making a little bit of money here and there, a little bit of money, taking a loss, a little bit of money, a little bit of money, and then you can learn those other things. The real goal is to what? Is to get you making money. And then if you want to go deep as you want down that rabbit hole, you can go and you can be called Jesse Ball in 2 years from now.
Okay. So it's over time, but one last question.
Yep.
When you after you select your sell and buy, when you're going to open a trade,
Mhm.
and you're looking at when you hit review and send there, it gives you some information, tells you your credits, your commissions. What's estimated BP effect?
Buying power.
Gotcha.
So at the top of your screen, underneath the ticker information, there's going to be like option buying power, stock buying power. That every time you place a trade, it eats into that buying power, and that's kind of what when you go to like that 8% rule. That's when it goes reduced by that little section that he just had his mouse on. That's where you're going to try and keep your 8% around wherever that is for you, in that buying power reduced by section. So it's going to take that money out of your account and hold it for this position.
Just because you may have to pay.
Right.
Correct.
Because let's look over here. So it says reduced by 405.29. The max loss over here is 403.
Right.
So it's a max loss plus commission / fees.
Gotcha.
Right.
And so they're saying if everything goes to hell in a handbasket, we need to have this money. And so they're taking that aside until you close out this position. Then they give it back to you. So this is your 8% rule. You don't want this number here, this buying power effect, to be any greater than 8%. And in a smaller account, let's say you have a $2,000 account, you're going to have to go bigger than 8%. It's hard to say. As you're getting started with $2,000, I know, John, you have a larger account than $2,000, but for people that are watching the recording, let's say you have a $2,000 account, you might have to go, just to get the ball rolling, you might have to go as high as 20% of this buying power of your overall portfolio. But as Noel was talking about, if you do something like this, you can meet all that checklist, but your buying power is going to be a lot less here. And so you could do a $1 wide strike, and you could get away with that. Max, I say, is 8%, and really you should aim for a goal of 5% of your overall portfolio. And as your account gets bigger, let's say 60, 70, 150,000, you want to go lower and lower and lower percentage based on that max loss or the buying power effect.
Okay.
Keep it small.
Keep it small. Small
So,
enough.
so did I read in the Facebook thread that you don't do any of this stuff when the market's closed?
Oh, I don't. Yeah, I don't trade after markets. So if I had to put in a market now, I'd have to do something like this. It would have to be a good till canceled because markets are closed. And I would say, hey, I want to receive this much credit, review and send. But it says this: your order will begin working during next valid session.
Right.
The challenge is with this is, I don't know, it's not so bad on the entry, it's bad on the exit. So if you do a net credit and you do, let's see, I can't do it on the exit. I would do like let's say a market stop. You could get eaten alive trying to throw in a market stop exit order in after hours. So just to keep it simple as you're getting started, I say don't trade after hours. Slip away for 5 minutes, go and use the restroom, pop open that app and do it that way. And if you can't do that, then don't do it at all, in my opinion. That's
okay.
My humble opinion, because I would rather you not lose, 100, 300, 700 or more dollars because you put in an after order. And again, it's on it's on a market, and it's on an exit is really where you're gonna find yourself hurt. So to keep it simple, I'd say no, don't do it.
Okay.
Cool.
Trying to learn the rules anyway.
Yeah. And keep asking questions and post screenshots, or I know that you listen to a lot of it, but you got to have some thoughts. Write down, a thought that you have as you're listening to it on a little note on your phone, and then push that into the community. The exclusive Legacy Traders is more for like mentoring and clarity, open trades. And then the Legacy Traders one is more about, hey, these are our wins, or these are the value that I found from this source.
Very well.
Perfect. All right, gentlemen. Well, it's been fun. It's been great.
Thanks for all the input.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ciao, guys.